What's going on, guys? Reisshub back again with another video, and this time I'm going to be going through everything you need to know about the solo FNCS. This video has been made in collaboration with the one and only 1UpAnalytics, who's put a bunch of stats behind what we're going to be talking through today and has made this video infinitely better. So go and check out his socials, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, all at 1UpAnalytics. I've got a bunch of timestamps on screen right now if you're interested in anything particular. So first, let's go into the basics of the solo FNCS and just explain the tournament and the format a little bit first, just so everyone understands. Firstly, and most importantly, like every other FNCS, it's region locked, so you can only play on one region. You must be in Champions League to be able to play this tournament. You can drop under 6,000 arena points once you've hit Champions, that doesn't matter, but you just need to have hit it at one point this season. It's also platform based, so there's two different tournaments running at the same times, which is one for PC, and then the other one is console and mobile combined. Just like other FNCS, there's three stages to the tournaments. Firstly, the qualifiers, then the heats, and then the grand finals. The opens and the semis both are 2 hours long with 7 games each. And then the finals is 3 hours long with 6 games, so it's going to be a custom stage game just like most FNCS finals have been as of late. To qualify for the semis in EU and NA East, you need to come in the top 3k. In NA West and Brazil, you need to come in the top 2k. In Asia, OCE, and Middle East, you need to come in the top 1k. Then qualifying for the finals is the same across every region, just come top 100 in the semi-finals. So for pricing, across the platforms, they're the same. So if you play on PC, the prize pool is the same as the mobile console one. And then also on top of that, you don't make any money for the opens or the semis, so round 1 and round 2 of the qualifiers, and you'll only make money in the finals, which is round 3 of the qualifiers. If you make it to heats on any region, you've already made money, which is fantastic. The link to the full rule set will be in the description below, so if you want to check out your region and exactly where you need to place, I'll put it there. However, it's a bit too much to go over in this one video. Should you start late in your first game? There are plenty of tales in 3-hour cash cups of players who start late by half an hour, 45 minutes, even an hour maybe, and then get worse players because they're in a lower elo lobby, then they drop high elim games, get put into better lobbies, and basically have an advantage over the other players. But is this actually a consistent strategy or not? Well, the first thing to consider is this is a Champions Cup tournament, and most of these other tournaments have not been Champions Cup. In Opens and Contenders tournaments, you're going to get more benefit out of those low elo lobbies because the players are just quite frankly going to be worse. From the DreamHack Opens Heat 1, which was an open tournament, the people who came in the top 3k of this, 50.7% of these started within the first 5 minutes. And out of the people who came in the top 250, 60.8% of these started within the first 5 minutes. You can see that as it goes from top 10k to top 3k and then to top 250, the players who are at the top are starting earlier within the first 5 minutes and less people are starting later after the 20-minute mark. So is there actually any conclusive evidence to show that starting late is beneficial for you? Well, not that we've seen. When comparing the average start time to the average first game points, there was no significant trends at all, which definitely suggests that there may not actually be a point advantage when you're starting late. So just a reminder that this tournament is 7 games within 2 hours, so starting late may actually be a detriment because you may run out of time as well. Couple that with the fact that this is a champions only tournament, so that the players are going to be better. All of this together really doesn't suggest to me that in the FNCS solos you should be starting late. But if you still want to, that's not a problem. If that's your personal strategy, go for it. Just a note here that the Fortnite tracker timestamps are a little bit off, so this data might not be accurate to the exact minute. However, they are fairly accurate, so at least reliable for this kind of conversation. So let's talk about the point format system. There's a total of 14 placement points available, and each elimination is worth 1 point. There's also a cap on the eliminations where any more than 20 you will not get any points from. So this means that each Victory Royale is worth 14 elimination points, which is actually a really good ratio in comparison to something like some of the old Cash Cup point systems where it was 10, and World Cup was also 10 as well. DreamHack format system is actually 12 elims equals a win, so the FNCS solos is even more placement heavy than that. So should you Wkey or should you play placement? A question that I get asked a lot and I've seen a lot about most tournaments, but in particular solo FNCS. So my usual rule of thumb for players is that if you're a fantastic fighter, you're a pro for example, most of these people are going to be way above the average champions level player who they're going to find here, then yes, you could probably Wkey a bit. But if you aren't dominating when you play solo arena, getting high eliminations each game, then it's probably not worth it for you to Wkey in a tournament, maybe at all, unless it's your last resort, because it may just end in a wasted game for you. So just like I always recommend, the majority of your eliminations will come from fights that you'll have a huge advantage on and are worth pushing, endgame eliminations, or just from impact frags that you needed something from. When the DreamHack results were converted to the FNCS format, on average players had 65% of their points from placement and 35% of their points from eliminations. This shows that the FNCS format is extremely placement heavy in comparison to the elims. So in answer to should you Wkey, well, if you're a player who can continually get these elims like I've already said, then yes, you can Wkey a game or two if that is just your normal tournament playstyle that already has you placing well. But for the average competitive player who's looking to get top 3k, or maybe even just make it to their first finals, the only two situations that I'd recommend Wkeying for these players is if you have a throwaway game, which we'll talk about later, or you need a high elim win to qualify you for the next round, so it's just worth being more aggressive for that final game. So if you are going to Wkey, when should you do it? There are two best times to do this, either in your first game or in near the end if you have an additional game to play. On average, the first game you play is going to be against the worst people. So if you are going to Wkey, your first game is your best shot at that. You can see by the graph in the background that as the game progresses, people on average get less points per game. This is a really nice visual way to show that basically the players get better as you go, so on average people will get less points per game. This means that your first game is definitely going to be the easiest chance to Wkey if you're going to do it. The second option is to ensure that if you have a spare game left, you can use this for a Wkey game, to ensure that you've used all 7 of your matches. You really want to have about 25 minutes left to play each game, except obviously the last game, as you can go over the time limit using this one, obviously assuming you start before that. So a really good strategy is to ensure that you aim to have 2 games remaining 30 minutes before the tournament ends. This will allow you to fully play out these 2 games and ensure that you get maximum points within that. So if, for example, you have 40 minutes left of the tournament and you have 3 games left, you may want to Wkey that first match to ensure that you can play all 3 of these games and get a maximum amount of points possible. Again, I'm not recommending you Wkey unless you are a very good fighter, so just keep that in mind with these recommendations. There is a balance to strike though. If you play one of your early matches too aggressively and you die, you've just wasted a game that you could have fully played out and got way more points from. And if you wait too long to be aggressive, you may waste some time because you might not be able to fully play out all of your matches. And you're going to have to Wkey in a higher elo lobby with better players, which means you're probably not going to get as many eliminations. There is a balance to strike here between timing your Wkey game if you're going to do one, because obviously it is a risky strategy. So the conclusion we came to was just to ensure that you had 2 games remaining within the last half an hour of the tournament. The secret hidden third option is also you could just Wkey every single person you see, but again, not a reliable strategy and I really wouldn't recommend it. So similarly to the when should you Wkey, what about when should you take a break if you're not doing well and you've died a lot of games? Taking a break will allow you to have a mental rest, but will also allow worse players to catch up to your elo, so technically your next game will probably be a little bit easier. You have 7 games to play in 2 hours, which is an average of 17.1 minutes per game, not including the little bit of overtime at the end that you usually play with your last game. A good rule of thumb is if you have more than 25 minutes remaining per game left to play, not including your final game, then take a break. You only need the 30 minutes at the end to play your last 2 games, the 25 minutes for that game, and then also the little bit of queue time before getting into the last one. So take a break, just however long you need. Talking of queue timing, something else that's super important of how long do you need left to ensure that you actually get into your last game. Well, based on the DreamHack Heat 1, there was a 99.7% chance that if you queued within the last 3 minutes that you were going to get into your game. So ensure that on your last game you are at least giving yourself 3 minutes to queue. A useful little tidbit is the timing of when you're going to get placement in game. This is again based on the DreamHack Opens, which should be similar to the Opens of FNCS. So you can see on screen here are all the placement thresholds, apart from obviously the top because it's different slightly. This is the average of where these are going to be in each match. Obviously if you're in a lower elo lobby, these placement thresholds are going to come a little bit earlier, and if you're in a higher elo lobby near the end of the tournament, in particular on that last game, these are going to come much later, but this is the average of what we saw in the DreamHack. How you implement this information really is up to you, but I did think it was something that was really interesting for people to know. This next session is on what you need to qualify. The main note that I should add here is that all of these stats I'm about to give you are based on estimates. After the first weekend is done, so that'll be qualifier 1 and qualifier 2, I'm going to go down into the comments and I'm actually going to amend this. I'll pin the comment down there just to change these values if they aren't accurate. So firstly, how to qualify for the semis. We have only done this on EU, but again, I'll update for every region when I put this down in the comment below. And it looks like to get top 3000, you're going to need 56 points in the Opens. For any East, it'll be a little bit lower than this, but not a huge amount. And then every other region, the smaller the population, the further this is going to go down. To qualify for the finals, you need to come top 100 in the semis. In all honesty, there's not sufficient data for us to look back on what this qualification is going to be, so we don't actually know this yet. And similarly, the players need to qualify through consistency. This is something that we again don't really know yet. There's going to be 200 people qualifying through consistency, so you at least need to be top 200 of the overall leaderboards. And again, after week 1 is finished, we're going to amend this in the comment section down below, so keep an eye out for that. I'll also probably post it on Twitter too. One thing I should note is that this may be different for the console and the mobile players. However, we really don't know what the population of that is yet. But again, I'll keep you updated. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm really pleased with the way this is coming along. Big shout out to 1Up. Please go follow him if you haven't already. His socials are on screen now. Please like and subscribe to the video if you haven't already. I really hope you guys learned a lot about the FNCS. Good luck to everyone out there, and I wish you well. Have a good one, guys. Catch you later. See you.